In this video, we're going to show you how to pressure test your brake lines before you put fluid into them so that you can solve a lot of problems of brake fluid getting on your paint and on your brake lines if you've got them painted, or making a mess on your floor. Now, the way I do this, and you'll notice I've got Teflon tape on here, and a lot of guys like to use Teflon tape. I particularly do. A lot of guys don't like to use Teflon tape. Some guys like to use liquid Teflon and put on there, and some people will even use blue Loctite to seal it. I strongly recommend that if you use Loctite that you stay with the blue and not go with the red, because if you go with the red you're going to wind up with a lot of problems if you ever have a leak or a problem there, because you're probably going to have to rebuild that whole part of it because red does not break loose very well. But what we do here is we go ahead and we make an adapter. Here's an adapter that's just made out of a T-block and a 90-degree fitting here, and a bushing adapter right here that allows us to connect an air nipple right here to the block. And this one here, I've got one of them blocked off. You could use both of them to do the front and the back at the same time, but it's not a big deal. And then I just have a short piece of tubing here. And so what I do is I just connect these two. Use your wrenches. Make sure you use a tubing wrench on here. Don't use open end wrenches. And here's another type of adapter that I made too. This is just out of a piece of aluminum stock. I just drilled and tapped it for a quarter pipe, drilled and tapped it for 1/8 inch pipe, and put two adapters on here for inverted flare. So you can come up with all kinds of combinations. Okay, then after I get this, I get it tightened, then I go ahead and I make a pressure regulator combination here that uses a male and a female. And this is the same type of regulator that you'd find on a paint gun. You could use any kind of regulator as long as you reduce it down. And so I go ahead and I connect these like that, and then I can go ahead and put my hose on. And once I've got the air connected, then I go ahead and adjust the air pressure to 25 to 30 pounds. But prior to actually putting air into the gauge or hooking the gauge to the line, one thing you need to remember, and we'll look over here and I'll show you, is that if you do not have your brake shoes on, then you need to put a couple of paint paddles on here with a C-clamp to hold this piston assembly together. Otherwise, when that air pressure comes through here, you're going to blow them out. So you need to be careful of that. When you get this all hooked up, you get the air pressure to it, then you just take some liquid soap and water and take a brush and brush it around all the connections. And if you have an air leak, it'll make a big bubble there. So you'll see this big bubble come out and you'll know that you have a leak there. And so by going through all these connections, you can see right here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we've got 9 up there and 10 on the other side. And plus the outside on the flex hoses on the front, you've got a lot of possibilities for leaks. So if we go ahead and we take all this time to pressure test them with air prior to putting brake fluid in it, then we're going to wind up having a lot cleaner job. It's going to be easier, faster. We don't have to mess with brake fluid and try to tighten up lines after we've got the car half together and work with that. So this is the way I test it right here. It works real good. This particular car has a master cylinder that's mounted on the firewall. And so the only connections that I'll actually possibly have problems with will be this connection from here up to the master cylinder. And so those will be the only two I have to worry about. This is a real quick, easy way to do it, to check your brake lines, and it works real quick, and it makes a nice, clean installation.